Thus, the notion that Snoop Dogg, music, entered Johnny Dang's shop and had any kind of in-person conflict over phony gems has caused a stir, wagging on the web. The discussion about Snoop, phony jewelry, and one of the most popular songs in hip-hop, the number of well-known jewelers has increased, and we'll examine precisely how these pieces all fit together and what happened down. Let's begin with the phony diamond. Charges music that had been orbiting the jeweler planet and make our way to Snoop's A Link to Everything. To comprehend how Snoop Dogg's name became confused wearing a fake diamond with Johnny Dang controversy, music you must comprehend. Who is Johnny Dang and why are there accusations? His gems are significant in the first. Johnny Dang is the American-Vietnamese jewelry designer, renowned for making gold and diamonds more common. Hip-hop mouthpieces. Music. The American-Vietnamese businessman has created his wealth mostly by Johnny Dang et al., a Houston, Texas jewelry business. Music. His company has been in business since 1998, offering personalized jewelry made of gold and diamonds to prominent figures in the entertainment sector. Music includes Snoop Dogg and Kanye West. The man created his kingdom out of nothing. Johnny Dang started off as a watchmaker, repairman prior to moving into design of jewelry. His breakthrough occurred when he began making personalized grills and pieces covered in diamonds for rappers from Houston. Not till he got to know American rapper Paul Wall that Dang found his area of expertise: grills covered in diamonds. Paul was delighted with Dang's design skills grills without the necessity for tooth filling, and they established a commercial alliance in the early 2000s, driving Dang into the hip-hop industry. From music, the client list continued to expand there. Houston musicians like Slim and Mike Jones Chamillionaire, Music, and Thug became frequent clients, solidifying Dang's Texas's reputation. Music later on, he worked with a number of musicians, such as Nicki, Jay-Z, and Kanye West, Beyoncé, Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, and Minaj. The last name on the list is the one that is important in this case. Snoop Dogg, a client, a longtime patron. An important turning point in Johnny Dang and the company's expansion occurred in 2016 when it moved from its former location in Sharpstown location to an independent 14,000 square foot main store in Houston, as Dang started making custom grills for well-known celebs outside of music, the hip-hop scene, such as Tony Hilton, Jeffree Star, and Paris Hilton Hawk. The well-known businessman and several his collections of personalized jewelry have been highlighted in hip-hop publications, music like XXL, Ozone, and The Source, and have made appearances on programs including MTV's, BET's Spring, and Super Sweet 16, Music, Bling. Now, with a company that size and so many customers, the focus brings more than simply accolades. Music, it attracts attention. And that examination appeared in a serious manner when a former Plug's Music Geo, an employee, publicly claimed that Johnny Dang was utilizing CVD diamonds rather than real diamonds in items sold to rappers. Connect Geo. And Johnny Dang was exposed by an ex-employee for CVDs, music, are being used in place of natural diamonds. Plug Geo added, Johnny Dang was unwilling to offer him a respectable raise and failed to provide safety. Lab-grown diamonds are known as CVDs. They appear authentic. They are tested as authentic under specific circumstances. However, given the kind of customers that Johnny Dang serves, there is a distinct line. Even Johnny Dang has stated, rappers make up the majority of my clientele, performers, music, large ballers. Lab gems in their eyes are fraudulent, according to Dang. Between the two is difficult to identify. Music, stating the analogy between natural diamonds and lab-created diamonds, are truly the same, and that a typical customer's, the unaided eye, and music, cannot determine the distinction. Thus, the charge from Plug Geo was a big deal. If a jeweler whose whole brand is based on selling rappers genuine diamonds, celebrities, music, and athletics were covertly replacing lab-grown stones, that would be a betrayal of confidence on a level that might put careers to an end. This is the cloud that has been looming Johnny Dang's name for many years. TikToks, various YouTube videos, and forum discussions have maintained the dialogue alive. Music consumers have even conducted open tests, their Johnny Dang artwork, and exchanged inconsistent outcomes. Once, Chief Keef was quiet. Skepticism over the veracity of his Johnny Dang diamond watch and pendant by going to California's Kay Jewelers to demonstrate with a test the diamonds were genuine music apparatus. Thus, a few pieces pass. Some pieces make people wonder. That's the background. That's the setting for which the whole Snoop Dogg predicament comes in. A veil of uncertainty surrounding one of the most well-known jewelers in hip-hop music, and a legend from the West Coast who recently openly linked to a fraudulent chain scandal. Let's introduce Snoop Dogg now. Into concentration. Broadus Jr., Calvin Cortazar, known by his stage name, Snoop Dogg, Music is a rapper, singer, and record producer from America, both an actor and a producer. His 3 decades career is unmatched, with 16 Grammy Awards, 35 million albums sold, and nominations globally. Beyond the music, however, Snoop has been acting as a businessman, and the most significant commercial decision he made in been purchasing Death Row in recent years. Documents. Death Row was acquired by Snoop Dogg, MNRK Music Group's record label, which private equity controls money under Blackstone's management. I am ecstatic and grateful for the chance to obtain the renowned and Death Row Records cultural significance brand, which has a huge unrealized potential value, Snoop remarked. Music. It seems it's nice to possess the label. I was involved in the early stages of my profession, and as one of the initial members. This is a very significant moment for me. The label was established in Dr. Dre, Suge Knight, and the Dick Griffey and DOC in the immediate aftermath of the dissolution of Music NWA. The brand gained popularity by releasing hip-hop albums with multiple platinums by musicians from the West Coast, such as Dr. Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and Dre during 1990s music. At its height, Death every year, Row earned more than $100 million US. Music. Thus, Snoop wasn't merely purchasing a brand, he was taking back a portion of his own, the past. Music. And a portion of taking back that past means making amends for those who contributed to its construction. Danny Boy is located there. Enters. Music. The musical career of Danny Boy started when Suge Knight signed him to Death Row Records at the youthful musical age of 16. Famous songs used his deep vocals. Of Tupac's records, such as All Eyes on Don Killuminati and Me, The 7 Day Theory. Music. Danny Boy is admired for Tupac's platinum album features his soulful voice. Songs like Picture and I Ain't Mad at Cha, I'm Rolling. Following years away from the label, Snoop made a public appeal to Danny Boy on Instagram following the discovery of a video of the vocalist performing as a line sing while cooking. Snoop Dogg revealed a video of a previous musician signed to Death Row Records, Music Danny Boy. She was recently heard singing while working in a restaurant as a line cook, Music, and seemed to extend an invitation to Chicago singer returns to the group. Your seat on Death Row awaits you, Snoop remarked, which the recipient swiftly said, Wow, I'm ready. The reunion was formally announced months later. Former Death Row member Snoop Dogg re-signed. Danny Boy, a record artist, returns to the label that he used to call home, using Instagram to announce the relocation. He's back home, Snoop wrote next to Music, a string of emotions. And they received to work. Danny Boy's You Are My, Music, Everything. With Snoop and Dogg dedicated the song to Shanti Broadus, his spouse, just before her impending birthday. Danny Boy, as well as Snoop Dogg, worked together on a number of songs from 2024, such as So High and Everything I Own. The narrative appeared to a legacy artist, one of redemption, receiving a second opportunity, a label owner keeping an eye out for an old days. The internet applauded it. However, in the early months of 2026, the tone of that tale was entirely altered, since during the session, Danny Boy sat down and dropped an unexpected bomb, and Snoop Dogg was the target. February Danny Boy had a conversation with the Art of Conversation for an interview that would viral in a matter of hours. Danny Boy charged, offering him a phony chain, Snoop Dogg, as their music video was being filmed. Danny Boy claims that Snoop Dogg once gave him a phony necklace while music was playing, creating a music video for the song So Elevated. He talked about the event at a Take a Seat with the Art of Dialogue, stating, "Snoop removed this from his neck and placed it around my neck in the so high I wanted to go get the chain in the video. Cleaned. The individual I brought it to was like, 'What's this?' I ask myself, 'What do you mean, what's this?' I'm not sure whether I should have believed it to be genuine or not." Danny Boy's narrative style, the chain was taken straight from Snoop Dogg's neck. He put it on. He thought it was actual. He carried it around and pondered. It was worthwhile. And it wasn't until he went to a jeweler to obtain music for it, cleaned, that the truth was revealed. Danny Boy said that the chain wasn't genuine gold that was adorned with diamonds, nor was it, not even close to the expensive item it seemed to be. The insight left him humiliated, and particularly considering how he had wore it in public, thinking it carried weight, both monetary and symbolic. However, the humiliation was just one aspect of it. Danny Boy clarified that the circumstances was risky as well. He clarified that considering his residence at the time, being observed wearing a chain that appeared worthwhile but wasn't able to provide a truly hazardous circumstances. Danny Boy further described the threat he perceived when in Chicago, wearing the chain, thinking it was valued at $100,000, and additional could try to rob him. Consider something for a brief period. A man with a chain, he thought it was worth 6 figures. Strolling through communities where that you become a target when you wear certain types of jewelry. Moreover, the thing was worthless the entire time. There was a genuine risk. It wasn't worth it. When he realized it wasn't real, the relief mixed with humiliation, generating a complex emotional mixture. Within, he shakes his head at the interview. Recollection, music, stressing that the necklace wasn't simply fake. It made him appear stupid and put him in danger, without cause. Danny Boy failed to maintain returning to the interview. He made a comparison to Snoop. Dogg's actions are similar to those of the former death. Suge Knight, the Row Boss, and Snoop worse. Danny Boy charged Snoop with giving him a chain that wasn't genuine. He continued after that, going on to negatively contrast Snoop with Suge Knight, a former death row ruler. For the chain took on symbolic meaning, Danny Boy. He compares it to the lone plaque he got from Snoop, indicating both items are empty motions instead of more than sincere gratitude. He claims clearly that Snoop's behavior was fraudulent, and he compares them to the allegiance he anticipated following decades of sharing. The past. Here it is. The recently re-signed death row artist, stating in public that the man who brought him backhanded him a useless chain and used it as a prop in a music video. The optics were poor. The story was worse. Additionally, the internet was going to run with it. As soon as the interview clip appeared social media, the response was instantaneous. Following the interviews, when it came to social media, the response was quick and mostly humorous. Supporters of Twitter, originally known as X, filled jokes and memes in the comments, thus including many people find the entire circumstance more humorous rather than scandalous. Some individuals took Danny Boy's side, while some believed everything about it was exaggerated. A few users questioned Danny's reasoning. Boy's annoyance, claiming that any real or false, a gaudy chain could attract risky attention. Consequently, they saw that his dread of reprisals didn't make perfect sense. Next, there were the jokes. Snoop was aware that he attempted to sell it. Lo el uno reversal, one person responded to the X interview. One more piece of music. I'm delighted he held on to it and got, there's obviously some camera time behind that. Emotive, but beyond the memes and the punchlines, the discourse changed to a far more significant query. In what location did the "where does the chain originate?" If Snoop Dogg were Who made the false chain that I'm wearing? Who sold it to him? At that point, the link to Johnny Dang and the wider A talk about phony diamonds began being drawn into the narrative. Look, Snoop Dogg has been a customer for a long time of Johnny Dang. The business of Johnny Dang has sold personalized diamonds and gold jewelry to well-known figures in the entertainment sector, which includes Snoop Dogg and Kanye West. As his customer base grew, Johnny Dang's reputation became a byword for upscale grills and accessory covered in diamonds, drawing A-list performers like Travis Snoop Dogg, Beyoncé, and Scott. Now I must be clear about this. No one has verified that the particular chain Danny the Boy's conversation originated with Johnny. Oh no. No relationship has been established publicly by Snoop Dogg or Danny Boy. However, music on the internet, the timing of Danny Boy's charge clashing with the persistent doubt regarding Johnny Dang's gems, produced a story that was hard for folks to overlook. When looking for phony diamonds on Snoop Dogg and jeweler in the same phrase, Johnny, it will be Dang's name. That is being the most noticeable hip-hop jeweler in the nation, but being the most well-known allegations that are looming over you. Moreover, there are multiple accusations. Source: Plug Geo's assertions regarding CVD diamonds being used in place of natural stones made it possible for other previous clients and staff members to share their own narratives. The knock-on effect of that one former worker speaking up has been enormous. The interview with Danny Boy has rekindled conversations about death row's history, sees Snoop Dogg's function as the contemporary guardian of the label, and the long-term effects of choices taken many years ago. Fans aren't just arguing whether or not the chain was phony, they're arguing over the gesture's significance, how legacy artists are treated, as well as the distinction between generosity and exploitation. And that's the issue with the entire circumstance. It has layers. On one level, it's a tale of a phony chain. On another level, it concerns the trust between a person and an artist who puts their signature on their checks. On yet another level, it concerns the trust between rappers and the jewelers who make their public perception. Every rapper on the street enters a store, spends 6 figures on a piece, after which they place it around their neck on camera. Who has faith in the jeweler with their standing? If music, the rapper appears to have phony diamonds. Phony. Additionally, in hip-hop, appearing phony is worse than nearly everything else. The comments prompted responses right away. Online, particularly in light of Snoop's recent leading position at the renowned label. Thus, Snoop hasn't yet made a public response to the accusations, and that silence has been observed. When Danny Boy stated what he stated, and Snoop didn't respond, filled the void with their own theories. Some believed that Snoop was disregarding it since the charge was, he didn't want to draw any more. Pay attention to it. Others believed Snoop was being astute by refusing to interact with drama, music, that might get out of control. Moreover, others, however, believed it was an indication that Snoop's and Danny's connection the boy had broken once more following the re-signing what was meant to be a new beginning. With tensions from the past, death row resurfacing, it appears that the drama from the label's history isn't remaining in the past. Let's now discuss the elephant in the room. The title of this, according to the footage, Snoop Dogg appeared at accosted Johnny Dang at his store, regarding the scandal involving the bogus diamond. Thus, did that took place? What we know is as follows. Snoop, Johnny Dang, and Dogg have a long-term partnership. Johnny Dang's company has been running since 1998, offering personalized gold and diamond jewelry to prominent individuals, such as Snoop Dogg. Johnny creates personalized diamonds and gold jewelry and has assisted a number of famous customers, such as Kanye West, Jay-Z, Music Snoop Dogg, and Cardi B. Snoop has previously visited that store. Snoop has been pictured beside Johnny Dang earlier. That is recorded. That's on video. There is no question about that. What is? It's also undeniable that the bogus Johnny has been followed by a diamond chat. For years, damn it. Geo, plug in music. A former worker accused Johnny Dang of substituting CVDs for real diamonds. Music. Additionally, Plug Geo discussed entering the jewelry business, collaborating with Ben Baller, and being underpaid. These are charges that Johnny Dang has faced to manage while keeping up a business that caters to the most image-conscious customers worldwide. Additionally, Johnny Dang has discussed the diamond controversy on his On Your Own Terms. During an interview with KHOU, "I've been working with natural diamonds for more than 25 years, Dang stated, at a Take a Seat at one of his Houston showrooms. For Dang's well-known customers, the genuineness of a natural diamonds are more than simply sparkles. Music. It has to do with status. He claims that a lot of his natural diamonds are preferred by consumers, although he is lab-grown for people who ask for it. Thus, Johnny Dang's role is evident. He offers genuine diamonds for sale to the customers who desire them, and he provides lab-grown alternatives for people who ask them. According to him, there isn't deceit. According to Plug Geo, that the lines were hazy, and the reality, music, is most likely a place where only the individuals directly involved are aware of certain." Let's return to Snoop Dogg's song now. And if there was an altercation at the shop, the phony chain of Danny Boy Snoop's name was brought into the false chat about jewelry. If Snoop Dogg was aware that the chain was phony, or if it was just a mistake that went unnoticed. Everyone noticed, but Danny Boy didn't. That is crucial. Danny Boy himself left the door ajar. He made no accusations. Snoop of purposefully misleading him. He was mentioned information regarding the chain not being actual. He voiced his displeasure with the circumstances, but he refrained from saying Snoop handed him a false piece on purpose. Some wondered if Snoop gave a phony chain on purpose, or if miscommunication was a factor. Additionally, this is the location of the Johnny Dang link. Turns into conjecture instead of actuality. Should the jeweler provided the chain, whether is that Johnny Dang or someone else? Completely. And the jeweler either sold or offered an item that wasn't what it seemed to be, then the individual donning, perhaps it didn't know either. Snoop Dogg removing a chain from his neck and placing it around Danny Boy's neck in the video shoot might have been a sincere act from a man who had faith. The chain was genuine. Alternatively, it might have been something very different. We don't have sufficient knowledge to speak. This is what I can say. Snoop Dogg's concept, entering Johnny Dang's Houston shop and engaging in conflict, is a story that came out of the multiple storylines colliding with one another simultaneously. The phony chain of Danny Boy accusation, the long-standing doubt regarding Snoop's gems, Johnny Dang's relationship to Johnny and Danny Boy. Oh no, when you combine all those components, when combined, the internet performs what the internet does. It creates a narrative. Danny, the boy's discovery of the phony chain, is the most captivating moment, but the backstory is far deeper. It's an analysis of loyalty, disappointed expectations, and the challenge of regaining control in a sector that frequently neglects to pay tribute to its pioneers. Music. Here, the actual conflict isn't tangible. It has nothing to do with someone strolling, making a scene by going into a store. Music. The actual conflict is the one occurring in public, during interviews, on social media, as well as in comment sections. Danny Boy is confronting Snoop regarding what he perceives as meaningless gestures. It's Johnny Dang being confronted by former employees regarding their alleged dishonesty commercial procedures. Fans are involved, challenging the very culture of hip-hop jewelry and inquiring as to if the glitter that characterizes the genre is even actual. Grills, which are an excellent percentage of Johnny's revenues, are frequently seen as a status symbol in the rap business, with costs starting at $300. Well, almost $200,000 for a gold variant. For a grill decorated with premium diamonds. Music. When that amount of money is at stake, when reputations are based on what's around your neck, the debate over real versus fake stops. Being focused on jewelry, it turns into a have faith. Music. It turns into a matter of integrity. Additionally, it turns into a question of whether the individuals at the honesty is at the top of the food chain, with those beneath them. as the video continues to circulate on YouTube, X, Instagram, and TikTok. The answer shows how much weight these individual stories are still relevant today. Fans aren't only arguing over whether the chain was phony, and they're arguing the significance of the gesture, the legacy artist's treatment, as well as the distinction between generosity and exploitation. Danny Boy's open, those questions are forced back by storytelling, into the public eye. Snoop Dogg hasn't publicly addressed Danny Boy's charges. Johnny Dang hasn't addressed the particular circumstance. Moreover, Danny Boy has spoken his opinions and allowed the wherever they go chips fall. The narrative is still evolving, but it's evident that the discussion is begin is greater than any one chain, any individual jeweler, or any individual rapper. It concerns the basis that the foundation of hip-hop's image is whether that sturdy gold base or something quite different. That's where things are how they are. If further data emerges out, if Snoop answers, or if Johnny Dang discusses the circumstance, if Danny Boy gives additional information, music will deal with it. But as of right now, the facts are what they are. A phony chain, a damaged trust, as well as a music industry asking itself a few awkward questions, queries. If you came into this breakdown educational, please like and subscribe, in order to avoid missing the follow-up when this music narrative continues to light. In the next one, we'll see you.